This is just a quick video to explain that I've just started a new reading series where I'm reading the Bible. I have said in the past that at some point I feel a need to read this, and I am. So I'm spiritual. I make that mention in the very first video for the series. So, but it's no way am I doing this in any way to disrespect the Bible or, religious people or their beliefs. I'm just reading it from a very pure place, and at certain stages throughout, I'll provide my opinion on what I've just read, and I make it clear that people are free to engage in comments and share their views. But from my point of view, I'm coming from a very pure place. I'm not influenced by priests, bishops, and religious scholars and people who have already, influenced people with their own narratives. I'm coming from a pure place, and I'm seeing discrepancies between teachings that people have been told and my interpretation. And like I said, I'm not coming in with any bias. It's just this is what I'm hearing. So yeah, to find it, all you got to do is go to the top of my profile where I've got my channels. Don't worry about how many subscribers. It doesn't influence me at all. Even if this one of my channels only has 3 subscribers for the next 10 years, I'll still create content when I want to create it. So it's not influenced at all by how, you know, popular something is. I do whatever I feel called to do. So it doesn't bring me any shame. I'm relaxed. I just do what I want to do at a given moment. So these are relevant. And I'm back on my reading one, just creating some videos for that, really. Like I say, I feel it's important I read it in this lifetime. Sometimes things can seem overwhelming, I don't know. But I mean, once you start the process, it's it'll get done when it's supposed to be, in due course. Yeah, so I'm starting on the New Testament, so Jesus' story. And then at a later date, once that's all finished, I will then cover the Old Testament. I don't think it'll be seamless. I don't think I'm going to go read the New Testament and go straight over to the Old Testament. The Bible is a big text to get through, to be totally honest. But yeah, so anyway, I've made it quite prominent. We're going to have a whole series here at some point, and there'll be plenty of videos. I'm trying to keep them an hour limit. So each video about an hour. Of course, you're not going to get it dead on, but I'd expect an hour-ish, because then it's manageable for me and not so overwhelming that you'd feel frustrated or pressured or whatever, to do another video. Let's say we did it like 2 hours, 3 hours. It might feel like a big burden on myself to maintain this. But I think if I do it in 1 hour slots, it's manageable for an audience and it's manageable for me to create it. Like I said, I've got the pure intentions here. I'm just reading it as it is. I just want to, learn about Jesus' story, really. And yeah, I think it's fair. So anyway, we come on my profile. Yeah, so I've linked to all my video channels are pretty much the same, in terms of I put them all at the top. So regardless of subscribers, they're all listed. And then we go down. We're gonna have a whole section here of the Bible. Of course, we're on part 1. We're doing the Gospel of Saint Matthew. I think I wrote that there. So we do full screen ish here. Let me get rid of my book so you can see roughly what we got. I mean, obviously you can go there at your own time and do your own reading of it and whatnot, listen it. But like, for instance, I've got in the video I explained, I have got multiple copies of the Bible. I've got this one here, which is just the New Testament only. Then we've got the Holy Bible here, different sizes, text very small in this one. I've got a Kindle version as well, but the one we're going to read is one that was actually passed down to me from my stepdad. Passed away. My mum gave it to me, but it was from like an ex-partner of his from America. So it's back in 1970 something. But when it was produced, I don't know, but that's when it was given to. And it's a massive book, like the Holy Bible. And like, it's really, really cool. Like, say, if I was to go on the front page there, you can see there, look, it's fallen apart a little bit, but I'm trying to keep it intact. I like to preserve things, There's, it's a pretty nice book. But it's easier for me, obviously, to read because the text's a lot bigger. So, yeah. It's a massive book. This thing's huge. Look at it. It is crazy big. Like I say, I do, look, I have my own opinions on things. I have my own beliefs and values. But I do respect, ancient texts and things, whether it is something religious or whether it's just a documentation of a certain part of history. I look after things, and so I want to do it justice. So what I'm going to do at some point, I'm going to listen to it all myself again. I've only just finished the recording, to be totally honest, and then what I'm going to do is try and put markers in it to make it easier, because there's about 10-15 minutes before we even get reading. Then there was the very first part where I really struggled with the names, because it was just, anyone that knows the very beginning, it's crazy. So I want to make it easy for people. If they find that hard work, just skip it, and then we'll just start the actual chapters and we'll do it. I'm going to try and split them into bits, and it'll make it a lot easier. So, for instance, if we go over here, we've probably got more to do with Jesus' teachings. So once we've got past his origin story, then we get towards that his messages from God, pretty much, like how to react to things. I'm not sure. Came unto him, and he opened his mouth and taught them, saying. So this is all segregated. So I've got like paragraphs. That's why I've got these little. I don't know if you can see the little black bits where it says like that bit there says the law of love. That's what I read as we go through. So I'm reading everything I get. So this next part, it says the Beatitudes. Blessed are the people in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. Believers as salt and light. Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost his savour, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under foot of men. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men, that may see your good works, and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Again, I'm going to try to split it a little bit here. See, I think some people take things very literal, and I think that's perhaps where we get this misinterpretation. Again, I'm not going to say everything I see is accurate in my interpretation. From what I'm seeing there, though, is those who are pure will be saved, will reach salvation. So even if man accuses you of this, man passes judgment. It's not for man to decide anything. Man is fickle. Man can be corrupted. I think that's what he's saying. So if you be your pure self and you speak, in that purity, and you cover yourself in righteousness, really, then you will be protected by the Lord and blessed. And that's kind of what he's saying there. Look, be the light in the world. So it's not saying turn your light on in your house. It's like be the light. And you will glow. Like people will be drawn to that. You will have a positive influence on people. That's what I'm taking from that. So it's saying that, like, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. So again, I think you've got to take it that context that we got the Herod, which is the sort of evil king, and that's what we're going to clarify as men, and then we're going to say from a pure place. Anyway, so the law and the prophets fulfilled. Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one title shall at no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. Whosoever therefore shall break. It's hard for me to read it with this microphone. Break one of these least commandments, and shall teach men, so he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say unto you, that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. Anger and reconciliation. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, Thou shalt not kill, and whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment. But I say unto you, that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. And whosoever shall say to his brother, Racha, shall be in danger of the council. But whosoever shall say, Thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there rememberest that thy brother hath aught against thee, leave thy gift before the altar, and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer their gift. Agree with thine adversary quickly, whilst thou art in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison. Verily I say once unto thee, thou shalt by no means come out thence, till thou hast paid the utmost farthing. Again, from that, my inference from that is it's not for us to pass judgment on others. It's not for us to order people about. It's that it's up to us as individuals to sort of repent. It's up to us to be accountable and to ask for forgiveness, within ourselves and with the higher being, of course. So what it's pretty much saying, from my understanding there, is that those who cast judgment on others and feel that they're the judge, juror, and executioner, they're just as bad as the culprit, because it's not your authority to step onto someone and tell them that you're doing something wrong. It's not your judgment to pass. And I think that's where a lot of people, especially in religions, I think personally, is where they get ahead of themselves. They pass so much judgment on other people, and they don't even realize that there's certain passages quite early on in the New Testament here that's literally warning against those very things. So not only are they like a hypocrisy to some degree, it's also completely against the teachings in Jesus' words himself. So that's there anyway. Adultery and divorce. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, Thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart. And if thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out and cast it from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members shall perish, and not that thy whole body shall be cast into hell. And if the right hand offend thee, cut it off, cast it from thee. For it profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that the whole body should be cast into hell. It hath been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement. But I say unto you, that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, causes her to commit adultery. Whosoever shall marry her that is divorced, commit adultery. Let me just read that a little bit on my mind, because I think people take so much out of context. Break it down, because I think the last paragraphs I've noticed are the summary. So if we can go through all the other bits, and it's just, let's read summary, the last part. But I say unto you that whosoever, so who the person is, shall put away his wife. So we've got to talk from the male perspective here. Saving for the cause of fornication, caused her to commit adultery. So they're saying if the woman was to commit adultery, then the husband or partner is perhaps at fault for her having to lean that way. And whoever shall marry her that is divorced committed adultery. So he's trying to say both males will be committing adultery. They almost say, from my understanding, then again, this isn't something I ever hear talk about. The woman, it's pretty much trying to say the woman is innocent. It's the male drove her. There's a male that is responsible for driving the woman towards another person. Almost like you didn't fulfill her or respect her. So you're at fault. You've caused the adultery. And then it's saying that, if you get with a woman who has been divorced, then you too are an adulterer. But nowhere am I seeing that it says the woman has sinned. And yet, if you go back, I mean, I don't even have to go back far in history. You see, the woman is always persecuted. Where I've not seeing that. Again, I'm not saying it from some priest that's going to dictate to me what this means. I'm reading it. But I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the course of fornication, caused her to commit adultery. And whoever shall marry her that is divorced, commit adultery. Where does it say the woman is at fault? I'm reading it as it is. And I was reading it up until that point, where it was saying that it's almost, and I didn't even feel that it was literal. Again, the parts before it was saying, like, for instance, if it's the eye that's wandering, it's the eye that's the thing that's commits sin. It's not the whole body. So we don't cast the whole body into hell. We cast that part. But I don't feel that's a literal thing to say remove the eye. People take things too literal. It's just saying that eye was the problem. It's that wandering eye that needs to be healed. But we're not casting because he's saying we're not casting the body into hell. So it's saying we're not killing them, are we? We're not going to persecute them to that depth. But that's the wrong. That's what I'm getting from it. So I'm recognizing that there's a wrong and it's something that needs to be healed. But I don't think the way people behave is really conducive of what the text says. Like how I look, I know, like, again, people by all means you can jump to the comments, explain it, but all you can do is explain it beyond what I'm saying. But no one can alter the text. That's always been my argument with religion: is the way everything's manipulated and switched up. I'm reading it in the purest way I possibly can because I have a genuine interest in understanding Jesus' story. And I'm just going to read it as I see it and interpret what I read. And that's exactly what I'm seeing. The real problem is, like I said, all the way through history, we've got powerful people who want to create a society that benefits them. And there was an awful lot of period of time where women were persecuted, women were subservient, because that fit the power dynamic where men wanted to be in control. Now, of course, things have changed as we get with modern society, where now people are, there isn't, the dynamic isn't such that is. So it's not a case of now we can look at that more openly. So we're not saying that women are pure and men are evil. There's good men, there's good women, there's bad women, there's bad men, So no longer is it that, but it's accountability, So we have to look at the times it was said as well. And we are getting to the end here, so we'll probably go up to chapter 6. We've got a few little paragraphs left. I think. Anyway, as you say, I wanted to show that little clip really because the beginning of the video, the original video, the beginning part might not do it justice because I was having to set the framework. And then I got a bit tongue tied at the very beginning of the thing. But yeah, so like saying, text can be, different. People can garner different meanings from it. But what we can't do, like I said, there is you can't change the text. So someone can say, well, no, that's not what this means. That's not this meaning. That's this. That's fine. But that's interpretation. That doesn't mean one way's necessarily right or the other. Who's to say? All we can do is read it as it is. And, you see, people can't just change the text, though. So someone else might say, no, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that. It's like, well, how do we know? How do I know it doesn't mean what I think it means? Again, I mean, it's like if you tell any story, it's really hard to, especially when there's so much to say, to give the deeper meaning of it without waffling on. So if you actually look at the way Jesus is telling his opinion on things. It's very short, so you'll go. It's going to be a lot that's ambiguous. There's a lot of bits that just not really explain too much. You have to sort of think a bit deeper about it. Is Jesus someone that's merciful, someone with compassion, someone that's healing? When he says about chopping off the right hand, do you think he literally means hacking at people? Like someone that's merciful, someone that's pure, someone that's innocent? Do people genuinely think that's what he's saying in some way? Because that's a bit barbaric, and I don't think for a moment that's what he means. It's saying we need to heal this part of us. So that part that caused sin, we need to heal it. And there's a little bit there. We go a bit further on. I have my own opinion on the retribution, because he mentions about an eye for an eye, but he actually says that the saying goes an eye for an eye. Then he provided his opinion, which if he was reinforcing an eye for an eye, he wouldn't have to mention it. He didn't. So so by mentioning it, and then what he said after, for me, was him saying it's about forgiveness. It's not to reprimand people for this. It's be a positive example to people. I mean, I'll get to that later in there if you wish to watch the video anyway. But hopefully, if anyone's interested, that's the series. If you are going to be offended, don't waste your time, because I'm not doing anything to offend people, but inherently people are stuck in their ways. There's people that are fanatics of certain things, and they'll be offended whatever you say. Again, I'm not doing it to cause offense. I'm just sharing my views from what I'm reading.